I'm so glad to have everybody here. And the good news is that every single one of you already has the main ingredient for being clear, which is care. You care enough to be here and you're curious enough to want to explore. And I can only assume that there's a little bit of hope that I'm going to say something or guide you through a process that's going to bring more clarity to what you're currently doing. And that is my hope too, and that is my intention as well. And I'm going to do the best that I can to guide you through this. And the way that I'm going to do it is by trying to be a little formal so we don't get lost, and to share some very basic frameworks and structures that are going to catalyze a thought process and a potential conversation. And throughout the next 45 minutes, I'm going to guide you through this. And the way that you can participate is by simply listening, by putting pen to paper when I ask you to or encourage you to, or to simply comment in the chat. You can share in the chat that which you're processing. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. Know that this session is being recorded, so you're going to get access to it later, and you'll be able to review it as many times as you want. And of course, anybody who has ever reached out to me on social media, I always try to respond to the best of my abilities. So you know that you have access to me there. And last but not least is at the end of the session, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take those questions. And as I do the Q&A, if I go over time, I will try to cap it at 30 minutes, okay? So we don't go all day. But if there are any further questions after that, you know you can reach me. Okay. So being clear, what does this really mean? If I really knew, would I be here? That's the question. But the thing that we want to really get into it is that being clear is being able to place your intention, that which you are thinking about, feeling, at the forefront of what you do, speak, and are. And in order to best do this, one needs to exercise, practice awareness. Today's session is really a workshop on awareness, and awareness directed towards that which is coming up for us, and then participating in what we are choosing to share. Choosing is our most deliberate, most fundamental act as human beings, choice. The problem we face is that the majority of choices that we make are not deliberate, they're reflexive, they're part of our habits. And although reflexive behavior, automatic behavior, unconscious behavior is needed for our survival, it's what allows us to just get through the day without being overwhelmed. Some of us do get overwhelmed, of course, but if we're here, we've made it this far. Even though it's there to assist us, it at times can misguide us. And today, really what we're doing is we're making a subtle adjustment, a 1-degree adjustment to that which we are choosing, and thus moving from being 100% reflexive to being 99% reflexive. Okay, that's the intention. And that 1% that we're choosing to be deliberate through, that will be enough to make the positive changes that we seek, and to feel, and this is the most important aspect of this workshop, is that it's to feel clear. And when one feels clear, one is clear. And why do I say this? Well, the lens through which we see the world is our affect, is our mood. Our affect is our current state of being. Our mood is the combined or over time expression of our affect. And that mood is our lens. It's our state of being. And in our state of being, we are translating that which we are experiencing into something that is meaningful. And finding meaning is at the essence of becoming clear. So today, what we're going to try to find meaning on is that which you care about. Something that I say at a lot of my seminars that kind of rub people a little bit funny is when I say, my friends, I don't care about your problems. And the reason is because I have enough of my own. I can't take on anymore. But I do care about what you intend to do about your problems. I do care about how you choose to participate with your problems, and that's why I'm here. This is so important because this is taking full ownership of that which we are, that which we do, and without ignoring that who other people are, and to participate with other people in a way that is of assistance, of help, of support. So as we explore that which is meaningful to us, my suggestion is that you take full responsibility of everything, of all of it. And the moment you do that, to notice the relief that comes with responsibility. Ultimate responsibility is ultimate freedom. That's the state. That's the place that we're trying to enter. And that's the mood and the affect that we want to experience at any given point in time. When we can do that, now we are being clear. This doesn't mean that we have the right words or the best words. It doesn't mean we have the right techniques or methods or the product or the organization, but at least we have the clear intention and thus a clear state of being. And that being enough to create clarity as we go. When thinking about being clear, I can't help to think about people's mission statements, purpose statements, and right now, one that's popping up for me is Tesla Motors. Okay, they make cars, electric cars. Although they make cars, and this is what Elon Musk does through Tesla, they also make solar panels, and they have other products. Their mission is not to make electric cars, but rather to accelerate the incorporation of sustainable energy. That's the mission. The vehicle, literally and figuratively, is building cars. Having a clear mission, having a clear purpose is that which you can always fall back on and ask yourself, for what? For what are we doing this? For what am I saying this? For what am I here? Well, I'm here to, if I'm Tesla, to accelerate the integration of sustainable energy. If I'm Gandhi, and I am fighting for independence, I'm fighting for fairness, the mechanism may be law, which is what Gandhi was. He was a lawyer technically. But his mission was not only to bring fairness, inclusivity, but to express that through his life. My life is my message. That's the infamous words. Another one that's popping up for me right now is Steve Jobs with Apple. Steve Jobs, back in the day, he's being interviewed, or they're asking him some questions, and somebody stated that he has a computer company, and he said, "You're mistaken. This is not a computer company. This is a tool company." And the person who was interviewing him said, could you please elaborate on that? And he said, well, there was a study on locomotion where they studied different animals, including the human being, to see who was the most locomotive or efficient at moving from point A to point B. And the condor came out #1 with a high degree of margin. And the human being came in around place 36, position 36. Not very good, relatively speaking. But then they did the same test with the human being on a bicycle, riding a bicycle. And in that test, the human being riding a bicycle came out #1 as most efficient at moving from point A to point B with a huge degree margin to second place. And he said, as human beings, we are technologists. We build tools to make our expression greater, to enhance our abilities. That's the mission of Apple. And that is my mission, as Steve Jobs is saying this, of course, that's my mission as an individual, is to enhance that, is to make sure that that is always happening. So as we're just sitting here right now, I want you to start just percolating, what is it that my mission is, and what is it that I care about, that I am trying to participate in my own unique way. And as you think about that, I am simply going to share my screen here, and I'm going to share a little presentation just so we can have some structure. And as we go through this, I want you to keep in mind that you can at any time pause me, ask me questions, and I'll be happy to clarify. But what we're going to do is we're going to start this little exploration together by using the subtitle of this workshop, which was to create and design with the intention to deliver a powerful message. In this description lies the framework, lies the secret, okay? And I'm going to now give you the secret, the secret sauce. In the beginning, create and design. What we're going to tap into is 3 elements: our imagination, our ideation, and our implementation. Kyra, you are probably familiar with this. We've been working on it. Our imagination is our inspiration. Our ideation is our planning, and our implementation is our execution. All of us, in the practice of becoming clear, we must allow ourselves to have space to be inspired. This is to come up with new ideas, new ways of connecting the dots. Inspiration is breathing life into something. So it's allowing life to come into us. We need to have a practice of planning. And here it's very important that we be very careful and avoid the trap of planning to plan. Corporations love to plan and then have another meeting for planning a little bit more, and then another meeting for planning a little bit more. And then all of a sudden you're trapped in planning to plan and you get nothing done. And then the third aspect of creating and designing is implementation, which is execution. You must do. This is what Nike did so well. Just do it. Just get it done. Now, as I'm sharing this, I am also very aware that as I share examples like Steve Jobs or Apple or Tesla or Gandhi or who did I just say now? I don't know if I said anybody else, but whoever I mention, you may have a reaction. You're like, well, I didn't really like Steve Jobs. They said he was really mean to his employees. Okay, that may be true. We're not judging people on their character today. Today, we're talking about clarity. He was a mean guy, but he was crystal clear. Whoa, Tesla, owned by Elon Musk, currently #1 on the Forbes list. He is the richest man known to mankind, at least officially, in the world. He owns such a large percentage of the wealth in the United States that it's almost absurd and it shouldn't be acceptable. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about clarity. So be mindful as I share examples to not succumb to your personal feelings about the people or the brands, okay? Because this is all about us right now. It's all about you. And if we allow that to happen, as I share examples, we will get lost in the mix. Plus, we should be very mindful here, because when we execute, those who execute will always have some sort of fault. And that's why implementation after this workshop is going to be the most important aspect. Dreaming is nice, planning is nice, but doing is the meaning of being. I share that because I don't want us to get lost in emotions today, and I want us to live maybe just a little bit more up here in the place of clarity. And this is where intention comes into play. Every single person has positive intent, even when their actions are negative and detrimental to others. That being said, we as individuals today are going to explore our purpose. And I'm sure you have already done this to some degree before, but know that we're going to try to dive into it with a little bit more specificity. And the reason we're going to do this is because we want to deliver a message, and the message has to be delivered through a mechanism, and we're going to call it the mechanism. And I want you to already think right now, what is your mechanism for delivering your message, your purpose? Is it you are teaching physical education? You are working on a dissertation that is going to outline a problem and a solution? What is your mechanism? And I want you to think about that and have that very present in what you are going to be thinking about today, and to allow yourself, even if it's just for 30 minutes today, to let go of all of that which you could be doing and simply saying, I'm just choosing this one mechanism today, and to take full ownership of that. Today, my mechanism is I am a teacher sharing information via Zoom about being clear. Okay, that's my mechanism. It's very simple. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to deliver a powerful message, which is going to involve work and time. Just the word powerful, that's what it really means. It means full of power. Power is work over time, effort over a cycle. And we're going to address what that means. And then we're going to get into our message, which is the philosophy. And the reason I'm saying the philosophy here is because today, although we have multiple philosophies, we have multiple ways of looking at the world, I want you to choose one. Just choose one today. Whatever that is, choose that philosophy. And we can always wrestle with it later. Okay, so in terms of our philosophy, what is my personal philosophy? What is your personal philosophy? Does anybody here, just off the top of their head right now, have their personal philosophy and feel safe and secure sharing it? If you do, just unmute yourself and just lay it on us. If you don't, in 15 seconds, I'll move on.
I'll go. My personal philosophy is aloha. I do come from the islands, and that means respect and compassion. And I carry that with all of my interactions and actions in my day-to-day and in life.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you, Jay. So actually, 35, 40 minutes ago, I just sent you a voice note and you responded with a voice note and you said aloha. And I was walking into my little office here and I thought, how beautiful is that to say love in every interaction, aloha, every interaction. How powerful is that? And that's such a simple yet secure place to operate from. And I it's funny, you were the one that just shared right now, and that is the cornerstone. I appreciate that very much. If anybody else has one and wants to share, feel free. This is an open forum now for the next minute.
I'll share.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's the reason I popped on is because I also am very drawn towards aloha ma, self-reflected love. So that's what the position that I work from, and I try to help people into that from their body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not from the islands, so it's just different.
Thank you, Farron. Who else had something to say? Feel free.
I'll go. I don't have it clearly, succinctly, but it's definitely that at our core, we all are ultimately here to love ourselves, to love each other, and that everyone is love. Everyone needs and deserves love, including ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Wonderful.
it.
Well, thank you. Well, the beauty is that philosophy is the love for wisdom, the love of wisdom. That's what philosophy means. So clearly love is at the core of that which we do. And remember what I said earlier was that every single one of you has the key ingredient, which is care. You're here because you care. And whether you are able to clearly express your philosophy or not is at this moment irrelevant, because you have that foundation that holds it. Now we want to start to get into it. And in order to arrive at a place where we can share that which we love, we need to start with questions. And the questions that we're going to ask ourselves are going to revolve around that which we care about, and specifically that which we care to know, that which we care to gain, to obtain wisdom from. And right now on your piece of paper right there, in your journal, whatever you're using, just write a sentence or two about that which you care to know. What would you like to know? This is just off the top of your head. Like a wise taxi driver once told me in Singapore, don't think too much. I was trying to tell him where to go and how to go. He said, I'm the driver. Don't think too much. Okay. So now that we have a sentence or two about that which we care to know, that which we're curious about, I want you to try to answer the following question. What have I invested time and effort into this week, month, and year? And this year, just use 2021. Okay, so we're in March. That puts us at almost 3 months. So 1 week, 1 month this year. What have I invested time and effort into this week? And be very simple. For me, it's been handstands this week. I did a lot. I worked on the interface, and I am organizing a community. That's what I've been focusing on this week. This month, I've been doing handstands. I've been working on material for the interface, for being clear. So just allow yourself to be very simple. Time and effort. Where have you been placing your attention? And once you have that, I want you to ask yourself, for what? What have you invested time and effort into? And for what? What do you believe your investment is going to produce? What's it going to bring you? If you have 20 things to say, choose 2. And for the sake of this workshop, allow yourself to choose. Allow yourself to choose. This is one of the biggest resistance points we have in our society. We have so many choices. We have so much abundance. We have so many thoughts. We're scared to choose. Allow yourself today to choose. Anything you write down right now, remember, you can always come back and review it. You can always answer these questions again. In fact, I encourage you to try to do this frequently, simply to get into the habit of reflecting on that which you are putting your attention and investing your energy into. Okay, I'm moving on, my friends. We are moving into purpose. Now you know what you've invested time into, and you know a little bit, at least at the forefront, for what, but you've at least said it. You've said it and you put it on paper. Now, we're going to take a parallel route now, and we're going to talk about not necessarily for what, but how we are participating in the reason behind our actions and our investments. And we're going to answer these very simple questions. What do you do? So for example, if you invested time in your physical practice and your training, what is it you did in your training? If it was time that you invested in working with clients because you provide a service, what is it that you're doing with them? Now, as we get into the second question here, and don't be scared if I'm moving a little fast here. This is something that, once again, you can review. I want you to try to be just off the top of your head. Don't think too much. Just allow it to happen. Who do you do what you do for? Who do you do it for? If you are struggling to identify who you serve or who you work for, think about yourself. Who are you? And when you think about who you are, I don't want you to necessarily fall trap for the essence of yourself, which is kind of nameless, but I want you to think about that which you need and that which you feel. Who are you? Who are the people that you serve from the perspective of needs and feelings? Are you able to describe that? And you'll see that this very seamlessly ties in. It almost overlaps with the next question, which is, what do they need, or what do you need? If you are a teacher or a coach in the physical fitness space, maybe all they need is guidance. If you're a filmmaker, maybe they need escapism. Maybe they need perspective. What do they need? What do you need? And finally, when that need is met, when the person who is watching your film gets their need met, what impact do you make? When you've guided your student through the curriculum, the practice, the method, and they get their need met, or at least one need met, what impact do you make? What does that impact look like? And here I encourage you to be specific. If you say something like, they feel peaceful, or they feel fulfilled, or they are happy. Happiness, fulfillment, empowerment, that is subjective. I would like for you to try to be a little objective. Be specific. It's kind of like asking somebody, hey, what's your favorite book? I've read a lot of books. I couldn't choose. Versus, what's the book that you gifted the most? Oh, that's a little different. That's very specific and it's very actionable. So think about your impact that way. Okay. If you're still working on this, just drop your pen for now. We're moving on. It's okay. Whatever you got is good enough for now. Now we're going to get into the mechanism. And in the mechanism, what I want you to ask yourself is, what are you building? What are you creating? What are you designing that will connect you and your message with your people? The reason this is such an important question is because being clear requires a channel. In order for there to be a channel, there needs to be a structure. In order for there to be a structure that allows one thing to connect with another, there needs to be a way of plugging in. That which you're building is like a plug. And I want you to think about, what is it that you are currently working on, whether it's your physical self, it's your personal development, it's your business, it's your family relation. It doesn't matter what it is that you're working on, as long as you can think about it as a connector that allows your message to be transmitted. So I want you to just, in a couple sentences there, see if you can lay it out. Let's go ahead and take a breath here for a second. Is anybody feeling overwhelmed or unclear? Raise your hand if you want. Yeah, if you feel overwhelmed and unclear, yeah, perfect. This is wonderful. We, as human beings, tend to believe that clarity comes from a place of simplicity. Comes from a place of pure silence, where it's just this and that's it. It's not how it works. It's chaotic. It's confusing. When we allow for ourselves to live in that chaotic state, but without trying to control it, without trying to reach, without trying to judge, that's the moment we feel the freedom to choose. And one of the reasons that we experience this when we go through this process that we're doing right now is that when you have to put your pen on the paper, you're either unaware of how many thoughts are crossing your mind, or you have this sense of overwhelm that if you choose one to put on the paper, you're saying no to all the others. That's not true. That is simply a momentary truth. And that's why right now I'm saying, just let it be whatever it is, whether it's what you're going to stick with and anchor everything that you do from now on. Just let it be for now. And if you can do that, I believe it's going to work out. Confession. The confession is, I'm doing this because doing this workshop allows me to practice being clear. I come over here, present myself as somebody who knows about being clear, but I have the same experience. Oh, wow, there's so much going on. There's so many thoughts. But when I put myself in this context, when I allow myself to choose, I can be in a place where I'm practicing clarity. That's why implementation, execution, doing is so important. Chaos is self-organizing. Kyra, I think I've said that to you a few times over the last couple of weeks. Chaos is self-organizing. Okay, drop your pens. We're done. Shake it out. We can't write anymore. We're going to move on into create and design, which if you look at my create and design and you know anything about branding, it kind of looks like Crate and Barrel, the store, the logo. It's because we have the same font, Neuhaus. This is Neuhaus Grotesque. Okay, grotesque sounds nasty, but it's a very beautiful, very clean. Imagination, my friends. Let's talk about imagination. When was the last time you allowed yourself to imagine? Like you created the space to imagine. When was the last time you did that? And if you can remember when the last time you allowed yourself to imagine was, where were you? What were you doing? How did it feel? I want you to think about that for a minute. I allowed myself to enter a state of imagination last night, right before going to bed, and I was processing something that I'm working on, and I just allowed myself to imagine. I was very relaxed, although there was a little bit of fear because I knew that if I entered a state of imagination, I could potentially enter a state of problem solving. But I also told myself that one of the rules for my imagination was letting go of all control, not trying to solve. That's the last time I did it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to imagine? Without the need of fixing or controlling. I just want you to think about that. You don't need to write it. You can write it if you want, but just think about it. Now, I want you to think about when was the last time you worked on planning something and you went into the nuts and bolts, like you did the whole thing. When was the last time you really worked out all the kinks within a program that you're working on, a movie, a class that you were teaching, a product that you were designing? When did you do that? And when you did it, how did you do it? What was the process? Was it analog? Was it digital? Or was it mental? The reason I say analog, digital, or mental right now is because analog is more like, let me just take this piece of paper and start putting Post-it notes up here. That's a little analog. Digital is more like, oh, let me go on my computer and type in some things and maybe look up some images and put them together and see if I can come up with a structure. Or was it mental? You were organizing it in your head. Has anybody here watched the show? Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the title. I think it's Queen's Gambit. It's the chess, yeah, the chess player, which was so cool. She was doing ideation, practicing her plays on the ceiling. She was doing it mentally. So what kind of ideator are you? What kind of planner are you? And then finally, I want you to think about implementation. How many of your ideas that you planned through did you commit, and I'm using this word, commit, to executing, meaning that you started them, you went through the routine, and you finished them? And if so, which one of those that you committed to execute on were the ones that felt the best? That when you did them, you're like, I'm glad that's over, but it felt great. I may never do it again, but that one felt really good. I just want you to write that down if you can remember that. Okay. So I'm going to share something that I do. I share this in the interface. So Kyra, you know about this, but it's the 3 journal approach. It's good to have 3 documents, 3 journals, 3 spaces, 3 places where in one you get to place everything that you imagine. You just get to write the craziness that comes out. There's another journal that you use for ideation, your planning. This is where you write all the details on how you're going to execute, what you think is going to happen, planning ahead of time, putting timestamps on things, structure. And then one journal or one space where you dedicate it to implementation, execution. When we have these 3 journals, what ends up happening is that we get to have a journal of the future, a journal of the present, and a journal of the past. Imagination tends to be future possibilities. If you think about time as linear, it may get a little messy, but imagination is future. Ideation is present. It's what you're currently doing. It's how you're currently thinking about things. Implementation is the past, the journal of the past. It's keeping a record of what you did. This is history, your personal history. Specifically now, around that which you are sharing as your philosophy. In the time of the Enlightenment in France, one of the most important aspects of the Enlightenment movement was keeping records, historical records. Writing down that which you have done is of the essence to be able to take your imagination and ideation to another level. It also keeps you fully accountable, which is another way of saying fully responsible. And the beauty is that although you put it down on paper or in a document, that is not permanent. It's impermanent. And knowing this is very exciting because it allows you to work through the following 3 questions that I'm going to share with you. Is that everything that you're designing as a mechanism or a message to deliver, or a mechanism or a message to deliver your philosophy can go through these 3 questions. Number 1, is this feasible? Is what I'm thinking about working on feasible? Meaning, can I even do it? Do I have the resources? Are they available? Is this viable? Is this something that is sustainable? Is this something that I can do for a long period of time? Is this something that is going to feel, once I create it, build it, is this something that's going to feel like effortless effort? Meaning, I may dedicate all of my waking hours to delivering my philosophy, building my business, creating the movie, but is that effort effortless? Does it feel effortless? In other words, does it feel in alignment with that who you truly are? And finally, the most important question, is this desirable? A lot of times when we imagine, we think we desire what we're imagining, but then when we actually implement, execute, we realize, oh, wait, my bad. I did not know it was going to be like that. I don't really desire this. The reason desirability is key is because desirability is the foundation of needs and feelings. And it's needs and feelings that are not only our own, but the ones that are shared. Shared with our friends, our families, our communities, our cities, our countries, our planet. And when we are able to tap in to a creative process, a design process that is in alignment with our philosophy in a desirable manner, it automatically becomes relevant to everybody else. And you don't need to even try anymore. You just need to do. This is the most powerful aspect of that which we're working on.
Can you
And
repeat that last statement, Carl, please?
yeah, let's see if I can, as I am simply flowing right now. When we are able to participate in that which we are creating and designing in a way that is desirable for us, where we, yes, I love this. This feels good. I'm excited about it. When we're able to do that, then automatically other people get to connect. And the reason is because when you do it in that fashion, you exude joy. And joy is peaceful, inclusive, fun, lighthearted. It's the opposite of what we believe this world is: heavy, limited, emotional. And now if we want to get a little practical, all we need to know is that the steps of a design process include first identifying the need. So all you need to know is, what do I need? What do people need? You need to research the problem. Research the problem. The word says it. It's look for. Look for something again. You look for it, look for it, look for it, look for it. This is seeking. Now, seeking the problem, unfortunately, can be a trap. And that's why today we're practicing simplicity. We're simply saying, just choose. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that we are all emotional beings, and that with all the misinformation and overwhelm of information that comes through, it is accumulating information in my head that's not allowing me to move that which is emotionally heavy at the moment. That, for me, that's of the essence, because I'm focusing on emotional fitness, but you may have some other problem that you have identified. Research, work with it, but don't get caught in it. Develop possible solutions. What are the solutions? Are you going to teach a yoga class? Are you going to produce a movie? Are you going to teach a breaking class? Are you going to produce a product for the breaking community? What is it going to be? What are the possible solutions? Then you must select the most promising solution. This is where you need to choose and act on one thing. And it has to come from a place of promise. And what are you promising yourself? Well, I'm promising myself that I'm going to stay true to my philosophy. Shane Dorian, big wave surfer. He wants the big wave surfing to be safe. He creates a piece of technology, which is a life jacket that you can pull. When you pull that life jacket, it shoots you straight to the top if you've been caught under a big wave and you need to get air. His sponsor helps him fund the project. They create a patent. They make that patent open and free and available for everybody. So all his competitors, all the brand competitors, can come in, use that technology to help other big wave surfers. That's the most promising solution through a technological mechanism to assist big wave surfing, something that Shane Dorian is passionate about, to continue to grow. Construct a prototype. This right here, this workshop right here, this is a prototype. This is me putting out one little product, one little service, one little moment. Test and evaluate. I'm testing this and I'm evaluating myself. I can also say, hey, everybody, at the end of this, I can say, hey, everybody, thank you so much for being a part of this. Any feedback, it's welcome. Positive, negative, hit me with it. Test and evaluate. And then communicate your design. You must share it. And this is where we started today. We started with me asking you to tell me why you're here in a very simple way. That is you communicating your clarity. And then this is the most important aspect, is redesign. Make the adjustments. Okay, I'm going to present you a case study. This is not a sales pitch because I'm involved in this brand, but it may be helpful to put it all together, okay? This is Strike Movement, footwear and apparel company that I'm involved with, and I've been involved with since 2012, 2013. And Strike Movement, as the brand says, it's here to strike movement. Very clear, that's the brand. And then there's a little flag right there, which I'm going to talk about in a second, which is the logo. The logo is the symbol. The brand name is the name that you see here right now. And the philosophy behind it is what we're trying to deliver through what we do as a company. And this company, Strike Movement, the original movement brand, that is simply positioning. Now, Strike Movement, established in 2012, the athletic footwear and apparel brand merges technical performance with a classic aesthetic. Okay, what is this? This is an athletic footwear and apparel brand. Great, what is that? That's the mechanism. The mechanism is a product, okay? Now, Strike Movement was built on the underlying philosophy of unity through movement. The United by Motion tagline is the soul of the brand, and expressed through the support and inclusion of all movement modalities, sexes, ages, races, and orientations. Okay, the philosophy is one of movement and inclusivity, very clear. And then finally, Strike Movement designs all their product on the foundation of intelligent minimalism. Intelligent minimalism being the versatility for broad spectrum performance, very technical speech here, but clear, that meets both the technical and casual expectations of a new generation of movers and athletes to create new athletic standards. This is the impact. The goal is to set new standards for how we move. So what is Strike Movement? Yes, Strike Movement is a footwear and apparel company, but what it really believes in is in inclusion and in setting new standards for how we express ourselves physically. An example of this is, I'm thinking about UJ Soul right now, is break dancing, breaking in the Olympics. Breaking is an art, but now has become competitive over the years and has gone through many iterations. And all of a sudden now is going to be presented in the Olympics. This, although a new standard and exciting and inclusive, is also something that creates friction. What are the originals going to say? Oh, this is an art. It's not supposed to be competitive. Are we selling out? This is where now we're being questioned. If we are able to return to the core of the philosophy of anything that we do, we will understand the impact and natural consequences of our behaviors and thus be able to make adjustments. Those adjustments, that is what I was referring to earlier. That is saying, oh yeah, we are reflexive in nature, but we can also be deliberate. If we are deliberate in certain areas that we have chosen, reflected on, and worked with, now we're going to get something very special out of it. And this is where purpose really comes into play. Now, one last thing right here. If you look at the flag, the Strike Movement flag, I want you to just see something. First and foremost, it's a flag. A flag is something that represents a state of mind, a group of people. Think about where you see flags. The other thing that you see in the flag is that it's in motion, it's moving. something interesting about a flag is that a flag, you can fold it, you can mold it. It's flexible. When it has wind interacting with it, all of a sudden it creates structure, motion. You may also see that there is a top and bottom piece that is creating an equal sign, inclusivity. This equals that. You also see that there's a difference between the top and the bottom, diversity. All of the philosophical foundations of the brand is being expressed through the logo. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you, like Gandhi, are the logo. You are the message. And when you're able to take full ownership of that, you can also make the adjustments. And this is very encouraging. And this can only happen with work and time. This is power. Remember, power is work over time, a powerful message. And that work will, that message will become powerful if you're willing to participate in what one could call the infinite practice. It's going in and out of the iterations of all that which I've shared up until now. And this, my friends, is the formula, the secret for becoming clear. It is simply doing, and doing with enough vulnerability to know that you're most likely going to be wrong. Wrong, not necessarily in your intention, but in what you thought, believed, expected to come out of it. And being clear is truly the ability that we have to tap into how abstract life is. Abstractions are that which allow that which is in our mind and in our heart to align in a way that we can understand and find meaning through. And that is called intuition. Being clear is being intuitive. Being clear is allowing your intuition to guide you. Being clear is allowing your intuition to guide you in a way that when you express yourself, you're also open to the changes that need to happen to that expression in order for it to continue to flow freely. That is the secret. And the place where that happens is in the place where you feel the most alive when you are participating or engaged with it. And this is not something that is always there. It's something that you have to be willing to look for. You have to open your eyes. You have to open your heart. And that right there is enough. And that is exciting. That's energizing. Farron says intuition moves fast. Yes, very fast, especially if you are sensitive. It moves very fast. But that's why we took an hour and now 10 minutes to slow things down. And although your mind feels like it may be racing, maybe you're even at a place right now where you feel like, I don't know if I have enough clarity. I think I got more confused. To allow that confusion to simply be new space that you can grow into. And that new space being the clarity that you needed. All right. That officially concludes today and our workshop. As I said, I'm going to stick around for a Q&A. So if anybody has questions, feel free to ask. For those of you who need to go, thank you for sticking around a little longer than the official schedule. Now we know that in my expression, maybe timekeeping has to be adjusted. But then again, do we really care about that? Well, sometimes we should, because it was an agreement. Okay, any questions, my friends? Any concerns, anything that's come up that you would like to just elaborate on?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I wrote a ton of notes down, and the way I operate when I'm doing that, it's hard for me to 100% kind of digest what you're saying. And thank you for allowing us to watch the replay on all this to get that. But the formula for being clear, can you give us a quick recap on? Because I like to, after this, I like to go over the notes and then put it into practice and develop clarity.
So let's work backwards. You do, you feel. Oh, I just felt something. I did something. I felt something. What am I feeling? You think, and in your thoughts, now you get to see the story that you're telling yourself. And then in that story, now you choose. And the moment you choose, you do again. You do, you feel, you think, you choose, you do again. And you just go through that iterative process over and over and over again. And you do it with as much grace as you possibly can give yourself. And you do it in a way that is true to you. Your purpose only has to make sense to you first. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. The moment it makes sense to you and you do it, you will be expressing your truest self, a self that is joyous, and that joyous is always beautiful. It's always attractive. Can you imagine if politicians spoke, acted in a way that was truly joyous? Could you imagine if anybody who is in a position of power or influence could do that at all times? Things would be very different. The list of priorities would be very different. That being said, we live in this world that has these limitations. And what are the limitations? It's us. It's our thinking. It's our belief in where our resources are, where they're coming from, how we're curating things. Everything is an expression of the internal struggle. So simply do, feel, think, choose, do again. That's it. And do it through the heart. Think with your heart. You may make some stupid decisions. I surely have. But the lessons are beautiful. Hope, I think you wanted to say something. I thought I saw you there.
I'm really torn to say something because it's so much knowledge, and a huge motivator for me taking this training is I'm very aware that I'm stuck in the imagination side and the ideation part. I love my planner. I love it. But actually getting it done, I get really stuck in the, what if I offend somebody? What if I am not tactful? And that's my problem. I'm a new yoga teacher, and I have such a hard time with creating a class because I am so scared. And I took a trauma background too, because I want to be relevant, but it's like, what does that even mean? Our world is so different and abstract and everything that you said. So I don't, yeah.
No, it's wonderful. And I think, I'm sure Farron has something to say. She is also a longtime practitioner and teacher. Farron, do you want to just reflect whatever's coming up for you right now?
I just have to say that you won't hurt anybody by creating your sequences and the classes and things that you say. No matter how hard you try to plan your yoga class and find wonderful quotes and music, there's going to be one person that's going to get upset no matter what. And they may not tell you. And some will. And this is part of the kind of process that you'll go through in learning how to be more clear so that you feel fulfilled in what you present to them versus getting stuck in the energy between them, not necessarily understanding your approach, which is on their end more so usually. but especially if they don't open up discussion. So if there's something I can help you with, I'd love to talk to you anytime about that. Like, it's definitely something I've gone through. Does that help?
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute. Yeah,
No, it's
that's
cool.
that's wonderful. I'd love to connect with you after this, because I am definitely in that space of wanting to implement, but so fearful I'm going to do it in the wrong way.
There's
And so
no wrong way.
Yeah.
I understand it. I totally feel you. I'm not trying to talk over you. I know that feeling so well. There's no wrong way with yoga.
I appreciate you. Yeah, let's follow up
Wonderful.
after this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Can
to
I add
both of you.
something to that too?
Yeah, Kyra and then Phil. Go ahead, Kyra.
I've been a yoga instructor for 10 years as well, and often fearful for similar reasons. And then lately I'm also a CrossFit coach. So you ask like members of a CrossFit community to now do something which I started called Serenity Sunday, which is meditation and breath work and yoga, and like asking these CrossFit athletes who just want to go hard, intense, to now like slow down and feel. And like, well, that's going to be a horrible idea because this is the wrong community. But once I tried it and got over it, it's like evolved into a really cool thing for the people who want to be there. And for those who don't, then that's okay. That's their choice. So I found that that's the place where I feel the most clear, because like Carl said, it's authentic and it feels right to me. Therefore, it's joyful and feels good to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Such a powerful statement there, that if it feels right to you, then it is right. If that's the one takeaway from this session, then that's it. that's all I can say. I have much to say on it, but that's perfect. Phil, I want to give you the room.
I just wanted to say, I think there's so much power to what you refer to just do something, to just start doing something you want to do. And I'm again thinking of my projects, because I have so massive visions often when I listen to music, for example. I have so many ideas in my head, and it's just like a rainbow going through my head. There's so many ideas. And most of the times, like 90% of the time, I think it's too much. I can never like put that into reality. And this is when I realized that I hold myself back 90% of the times by not starting. And I just recently experienced, for one of the first times, so to say, that even though you don't know whether it becomes what you imagined it to become, you just have to start, like Carl said, because I'm right now doing my first film, self-funded film, so to say, about ice bathing. And Sarah knows, because she's part of the group who's been going bathing with us. And I had so many ideas again, and these mostly come by listening to music. And one of the ideas was to go and take an ice bath at night. And it was like minus 10 degrees Celsius. And everybody thought I was crazy. But just because I started planning and believed in myself, and even though I thought everybody would be upset or thinks that I'm crazy or stuff like that, in the end, everybody was so committed to helping me in this project, and we just had like an experience of our life. And now I'm so happy that I can put this into practice and make this movie, and it will be such a great reminder or
Memory.
yeah, something you can look back to in the future and remind yourself of this great time. And yeah, this was like one of the few times in my short career, so to say, that I realized it's so important to just start, even though you don't know what will come out of all of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is such a big deal. The moment you choose and you do, momentum starts to build. And eventually momentum builds to a point where it's almost scary, because it comes as a tidal wave. The good news is that tidal wave was created by you, and you get to change whenever you want. That's the beauty of this. And the moment you can live that way, whether you believe that you're limited within this time that you have on this planet, or the number of projects that you can fully give yourself to, you realize that whatever it is that you choose has the complete picture, has the complete message, paints a complete picture of everything that you believe in and are. And the moment you can see it that way, that's when you become truly limitless. And that is the essence of clarity. It really is choice, and choosing to participate in whatever way you see best for your health and for the health of others. Thank you, Phil. Anybody else want to share something that has come up, or a question, or anything that they're thinking about right now?
Do we have access to the participants, or should we share our Instagrams?
Yeah, go ahead and share here. I would be happy to share people's information, but it's always easier to just leave your email and ask people to reach you. I can also connect you all if you want to be connected after this.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, feel free to share your IG handles, or TikToks, or emails, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I just want to say that something that's really stuck with me from your sharing is this idea that when we get to that chaotic state, which one of the things I love that you said was that chaos has a way of just working itself out. You said it a little differently than that. But you know, the whirlwind of life and all the things that we have to do as parents with children and business, and you know, and the things that can, and I can very easily tune into that chaos, and chaos can be discouraging for moving forward. As opposed to allow that chaos to be there. Don't love it. You can't, when you try to control chaos, good luck trying to control chaos, right? So just allowing that sense of chaos, that spin, to be there, but instead of focusing on the storm of chaos, I focus on the center of my purpose, and in the chaos, just the chaos is there. That's like progress, not perfection, as well. So that's just a good piece, just a good take home piece.
That's wonderful. Yeah, just to reflect back, process is just being in whatever moment you're in. Progress is the change that you see. Progression is how you are participating in creating the change in the process, and outcome is what you produce. What we think is chaotic is actually not as chaotic as we truly believe it to be. And I mean, I don't know if you're thinking about kids or whatever it may be, but sometimes your kids are just going crazy. You're like, I need you to sit down at 7 for dinner. Just sit down, or do your homework, or whatever it may be. You can be like, well, today I'm not telling you to be anywhere at any time. It may not be great for now, but it gives me enough space to notice why I am actually participating in the way that I am doing it. Another example is, let's say you have to work on a project because you have a deadline, but you don't feel very inspired. Maybe you have a chair by your computer, and then you have a chair in the middle of the room. You start working on your project, you run out of steam, or you're bored, you don't like it, you go to your chair and you just say, I can't move from this chair unless I'm going to move towards the computer. I'm setting that rule for myself. After a while sitting on that chair without your phone or without access to anybody to talk to, you're going to be like, I have no other option but to participate in the chaos of this project. So you just come back to the project. And it's creating these little games, because this life is a game. We take it very serious because there is a lot of suffering and pain is a real experience, but it's a game. The question is, how are we going to play the game? I hope that we can play it in the most beautiful way possible. Yeah, that's great. Chaos is self-organizing. Anybody else? It's 12:30 over here.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to jump off.
All
and
right,
get back
thank
into
you.
my yard, but thank you. Love to all of you. Thank you so much, Carl.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anything else that anybody wants to say or share? Okay. Everybody, thank you. I appreciate you. It's good to see you. And I learned a lot. And I'm glad you all were here and got to connect with me and each other. And I'm excited going forward to continue to share some of this work. As Kyra mentioned, the interface, and actually anybody who wants to participate in the interface, if you want to, just reach out to me, and whatever you invested into this, which I think was $25, you can just use it as credit for the interface. And we can work on something there. But everybody, thank you. And Kyra, I just wanted to say, now that you've double dipped, just know that what you're talking about is the key. It's simply doing and sharing that which is the mission. And hopefully, as you heard everybody else, even though they have just joined us here today and you've been going for the last 4 weeks, that we're all on the same page, and that every single one of you in your own unique ways are expressing yourselves at a level that is needed right now. We need this kind of clarity. We need this kind of exploration. So just know that I'm here to support that, and I am empowered and encouraged by that. Thank you, everybody.